What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be editing your guys' submitted photos. I'll be completely honest, this is my third time filming this video. The first time Apple Music decided to pop up 3,000 times on the screen. Second time it recorded no audio. So third time's the charm. Holy cow, I feel like I'm reciting this a million times. But let's get into it. This one was submitted by my good friend Lee. One thing to note about this photo is that I believe this was shot on a smartphone because it's a DNG file. It is not a RAW. I got a lot of comments and questions regarding how can you guys upload your photos to be a part of this series on YouTube. If you would like, check the first link in the description. It is going to be a link to my Google Drive folder. There you guys can upload any RAWs you would like. Again, please make sure they are RAWs, not JPEGs. JPEGs do not give me enough information to work with, and because these are meant to be somewhat informational or informative, please give me the RAWs. It just gives me the most amount of stuff to work with and give you guys the best results. But let's get right into this one. We are starting to use just presets to speed up the process because I don't want these videos to be super long. I'm trying to keep these in like the 20 to 30 minute ballpark. Anything past that, I feel like the viewer retention is not there. So starting off right here with this preset, already right off the bat, that is looking killer. Love cloudy, gloomy days. They just make for the best lighting. This looks fantastic. Let's warm this puppy up a little bit. There we go. That's looking good. We're going to keep messing with the whites here. So even though this is blown out, we're going to come in and fix this with the radial filter or the gradient filter, whatever one it's called. Saturation's looking good. Let's add a bump of vibrance. These wheels are pretty cool, so let's try to pull out some details in those. That's looking mighty fine. Do 0.2 there. It's pretty crazy nowadays what these smartphones are doing. I mean, this one, it doesn't specifically say which smartphone it is, but based on the histogram, ISO 32, 5.1 millimeters, I know this is not correct because at 5.1 millimeters, this would be like an ultra super wide, and it would be super distorted, so that's not correct. But f1.6 at 1/1500th of a second. But I mean, look how much detail this thing has captured. I'd be super curious to know, I can even see the plate number, what phone this was shot on, because this is pretty darn impressive if I'm being honest. I mean, the fact that you can even see his little decal from this distance, that's very, very nice. I mean, already guys, this is looking like solid. The only thing I think we're gonna change up here, so let's try to get some of the information back in the sky. And I think this one we're gonna go for a pretty crazy, like cloudy, moody vibe to set the tone, because this photo, that's where, I don't know if it's raining in this photo. It looks like it's about to if it isn't already. Warm it up a little bit more. Ooh, I'm kind of liking that. Maybe there. Blacks look good. I mean, that's pretty damn good to me. I would say right there, that's post-worthy. So before and after, and then here is one that I did previously. This one is a little, there we go. So between the two, this one definitely has a slightly warmer hue. This has a little bit more of a magenta-ish, I don't know, magenta-ish feel to it, but it does look good. So all in all, awesome photo. The fact that this was taken on a smartphone makes it honestly cooler. So no one can use the excuse that, oh, I don't have a fancy camera, I don't have this, I don't have that. Honestly, nowadays, if you have a phone that's been made in the past like 3-4 years, you can create just about whatever you want. So awesome shot, Lee. Loving this one. Thank you for submitting those. I know you sent in quite a few, so I will be doing those later. Next up, we have this awesome roller. So because the audio got cut out, I'm jumping in here. I'm going to try to splice this together so that way it like works in chronological order. It might not fully match up to where it cut previously with the audio, but I'm hoping it does. Nonetheless, awesome shot here. Unfortunately, whoever submitted this, you did not leave any information, so I don't know who you are or what your Instagram is. So I'm editing this video right now. It's Tuesday morning. This video will go up Wednesday evening. So if I do not find out who you are, unfortunately, I can't credit you. But if you see this video, please be sure to shoot me a message or drop a comment so that way I can add your information to the description. That way we can get some people checking out your page. But thank you so much for submitting this. Definitely a cool shot. This one appears to be like an Eclipse from like the Fast and Furious, like a replica. So very cool there. Now this photo, because I've edited it now 4 times, I know is a little bit tricky with this lighting. Reason being, rollers throughout the day with the harsher lighting tends to be kind of a pain in the butt. Another thing to notice, I think with this one, I remember I did not use a preset just because the lighting was being slightly troublesome. One thing to be cautious about with these is because of this green, it almost has a slightly yellowish hue to it. So with the sunlight the way it is, you guys can see it's hitting here on the side. It's almost making it look a little bit more yellow than it really is. So we will adjust for that as we go with the HSL tab. We're not going to add any clarity here. I don't think we're going to do any dehazing vibrance. Let's do 15. That looks good. We'll keep this tone curve the same. I'll probably do a video here shortly kind of describing the tone curve just to help you guys out to kind of understand it. I mean, there's several videos on YouTube that go into that. It's just a little daunting for some people, including myself. It took a while before I got into that. So because of this, because of the lighting, we are going to go over here and adjust the greens. We're going to move those slightly towards the more tealy greens, and then we're going to see if we can lift these up just a tad. I feel like I say just a tad a lot. I'm sorry if I'm super repetitive. So teals here aren't doing much. As you guys can see, it's doing a little bit of an effect on the hood. Oh my gosh, I'm spacing the name. Headlights, there we go, Evan. Holy cow, it's been that type of day. I'm sorry, guys. I filmed this video so many times. So it's doing that, and then it's messing with the sky, so we're just gonna leave these as is. Actually, if anything, we'll raise the luminance on these just a bit. Next up, we got the blue saturations. This, I know for a fact, we're just gonna lift up here. So another thing that's tricky about rollers, I actually just did a set this past weekend, and it's very difficult because when you're shooting, this appears to be either in the morning or maybe right before dusk, because the sun is at a certain angle. It's either going down or it's coming up, and it's casting the shadow right up here. So usually when this happens up here on the front end of the vehicle or wherever the shadow is being casted, you tend not to be able to recover quite as much information. So that's why I tend to shoot at sunset, because the sun is usually behind trees, or it's just very even lighting, so you don't have harsh shadows like this. So just something to keep in mind there. In here, we're gonna play with the split toning. This is going to make a huge difference. This photo, we're not going to be able to do too much just because it already looks pretty good with the colors we got going on. So we're just going to try to maximize this as much as possible. I always, with the split tones, usually do 10 and 10 for whatever colors I'm working with, and then I'll come in here and adjust the slider. Now I know this is not going to match up perfectly with the other photos just because, again, I've edited this one so many times, but it'll be close. I'm going to get you guys to that point, and then I'll jump back into the older clip. If you guys have any microphone recommendations, please drop them in the comments. Right now I'm just using this little like lav mic or lav, I don't know how you pronounce it. And it seems to do the job okay when it works. Keyword when. But this is a cool shot. Let's turn that. There we go. Perfect. Make sure you guys are doing this. Always have your lens corrections on. This will like adjust any sort of like vignetting, distortion, or at least it will do like 95% of that. So this photo was shot at ISO 128 millimeters, f5.6 and 1/60th of a second. Very, very solid. This is a sharp, sharp roller. Love to see it. So many times nowadays, I feel like people are chasing the whole unrealistic, let me get like a 1/5 shutter speed at like 50 miles per hour. People love to have that fake, crazy blur. Not fake, but it's just over the top. Like for me, I'd much rather be shooting at something like this, shutter speed at this speed, because you're getting nice, consistent, sharp images. It looks realistic. Probably could have maybe slowed it down a little bit, but I mean, honestly, you're getting great sharp shots. That's what matters first. I'm going to be doing a video here shortly discussing, you know, my tips and tricks to taking rollers. Again, everyone has their own style, their own way of doing it. There's no right or wrong, but I'm hoping that that video will be extremely informative, because that is one of the most common questions I get. So that'll be a little bit of a longer video. I'm going to show you guys everything from start to finish on how I do rollers. But back to this image, looking awesome. Because the sun is harsh on this side, over here on the front side, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to pull out some of the shadows or some of the details. But we can go in here and let's see if we can pull out some on the radiator or intercooler or mesh, whatever is on this specific vehicle. let me, before we do any more, show you guys where we started and where we're going. So this is already looking pretty darn good. Again, because I've already done this once, I know that we're a little bit limited to some of the details on the front. Now, I would say this is arguably already pretty much post-worthy. A lot of times when it comes to the windshield, I like to drop the shadows to try to hide the driver, like their face. Some people prefer just to leave it the way it is, so I'm going to go on the side of kind of in between, like a happy medium. I'm just going to darken up just a tad, but not over the top. So this is already looking good. I mean, we can try here. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but that's the joys of this. Let's go like 0.5 up front, and it's kind of a little weird. Let's try 0.35. Not bad. Again, I don't want to go over the top trying to expose this front end properly because it's just going to end up inducing noise and the colors are going to look all wonky and off. But this is a great shot. I mean, fundamentally, they did it properly. Settings look great. It's nice and sharp. You can't really ask for much more. Only thing that would have been nice, and it was something that's totally out of your control, would have been to have like a beautiful sunset. But again, fundamentally nailed it. Super sharp. You can even see the guy's face, Sparko seats. I don't know what type of thing he has hanging there, but even all the stickers are sharp. So nailed it. Great job. Unfortunately, this one, whoever submitted it, there was no information, so I don't have this individual's name or Instagram. I'm going to try to find that out before I post this Wednesday, but if I do not, unfortunately, I can't give you the credit right away. But if you're seeing this video right now, please drop a comment and I'll throw your information in the description so people can check out your page. But awesome, awesome shot. Moving on to the last one. This is shot by my friend Jake. Jake is one of, if not my best friend, love him to death. He's from Massachusetts. Those that don't know, I'm from Chicago. He met me because he was trying to buy my presets. That's how we became friends. No, I'm just kidding. But super, super cool dude. He got into photography for a while and ended up selling his gear, and I finally convinced him to get back into it. So I am stoked that he recently picked up an A7R III and a Sigma 24-70 f2.8. Jumping into this image right here, let's see. Now, this is a parking garage shot, so you're not going to have a ton of color going on. Obviously, this is very like blue. So to change that, let's go up to 3500, and automatically we're done. Calling it a day. Thank you guys so much. No, I'm just kidding. But this is already looking freaking awesome. Let's make it a little bit warmer. There we go. Loving that. I haven't shot in a parking garage in so long, but this is looking gorgeous. Blacks, so whites, we got that toned down. I think we want a little bit more blue. Let's go 3550. There we go. It's looking nice. One thing I like to do when cropping is I always try to make sure the vehicle is pretty much centered, unless I'm going for like a rule of thirds style shot. Technically this is a rule of thirds because the vehicle is down here versus being dead center. So that is looking beautiful. As you guys can see here, I try not to do this, so I've caught myself in the past having presets that have this, so we're going to put these to 0, and that, you can see, boom, we're already back to being too blue, so let's change that. My fat fingers, I guess, are not working today. So 3750, this is giving it more of a neutral tone. I think this is pretty realistic to what it looked like in person. Granted, I was not there, but I'll have to ask Jake. Let's show you guys already where we're at here. I mean, that alone, I think for most people would agree that this is post-worthy. This is looking awesome. I'm glad he framed the shot this way. Let's see what he shot this at. ISO 250, 67 millimeters. This was at f3.2 at 1/25th of a second. Very sharp image. I'm glad that he shot this with a bump in ISO, because if he were to drop the shutter speed any more, odds are he'd be missing quite a bit or just be kind of shaky. That's the beautiful thing about a lot of the newer cameras, that they have in-body stabilization, so that helps out a ton. Now let's make sure that the colors are all still looking good and that there's nothing wonky. Let's see the teals here. Teals were axed, so let's go. So that's interesting. So if we do this, typically I wouldn't do this at all, but for some reason it's kind of working with this photo, so I'm a fan of that. Highlights, so we do have the highlights on a slightly orange hue. Shadows we have is a darker blue, so if you guys can see this, it goes to a much cooler to a much warmer. That's honestly not bad, but I think for this image, I don't know, when it comes to like gas stations or parking garages that have like a white backdrop, I tend to go more towards the cooler side. It gives it like a, I don't want to say like a Need for Speed, but I don't know, I just think it fits the vibe a little bit more. So this is looking fantastic. One thing I want to do here is actually, I want to bring down the shadows just a touch on the grill and the details here, just because I want to add a bump of contrast. That is going to look awesome when we zoom out. I know it seems like a really insignificant detail, but I'm telling you, these little things, once you do it enough, really just starts to bring together the whole image. We don't want to drop this too much because I'm a big fan of when everyone can see the details. So for me, this looks a little too dark. We want to make sure that these look similar. So we'll do a new one. We'll do -5 here and try to get this somewhat even. There we go. So it's all trial and error. Like, to me, that looks pretty darn close in terms of the exposure. Like, that's exposed properly. That looks good. The wheels here, I think we're going to try -5 on them. Reason being is that it's a little noisy. You know, shooting at 42 megapixels, anytime you move the ISO, even in the slightest bit, you're going to see every little, you know, particle of grain. It's kind of the trade-off, but having this resolution is awesome for prints and other things. Honestly, I think right now this is like just about it. We're gonna do shadows on the windshield here just to bring this down. Since this is not a roller, there was no one in the vehicle, so you don't really have to worry about hiding anybody's face all that much at all. And I would say this is a wrap. I mean, this looks freaking awesome. Great location, great settings, looks awesome. Let's compare this to the other one I edited earlier. And so I'm actually digging this one a little bit more. So this one, let's see if I can get it a little bit closer to this. This looks like we got a little bit more of a magenta-y-ish, whatever you want to call it. That wasn't very descriptive, but let's see if we can get it. All right, let's see, is that closer? And then we can try to just bump up the whites. There we go. Oh, I almost forgot one important thing. So with these headlights, you guys can tell that they are a little bit overexposed. So what we'll do here is let's start with like -1. And there we go. That's looking good. We could also bring down the highlights just a tad. Try to regain as much information, and let's bump the warmth up a little bit. I know that these HIDs, or whatever you call these, the LED style headlights, always give off more of a bluish hue, so that is good. We're gonna do the duplication kind of trick here. We're gonna drag this over to the passenger side headlight, and we're gonna reshape this to make sure we make it the proper size, because otherwise it's gonna cast it onto the bumper. This one is a little bit more tricky, so we're gonna drop the exposure just a bit more. Zoom out here, and bada boom, this is looking wonderful. I'd post this all day long. I mean, that's pretty darn similar, but let me show you guys, the before and after. I think that one is a wrap. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to drop a like or a comment. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. If this is your first time seeing the channel and you guys enjoy what you saw, please feel free to subscribe. I have a lot of videos coming soon. I have a lot of tutorials, all that fun stuff. I feel like there's not too many automotive photographers that do a good job on YouTube about, presenting, informative information. That's not a jab towards anyone. I just think that I have a lot of stuff to offer you guys, and so I'm going to be doing my best to upload as much as possible. But thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Later, guys.
10 toes touchdown, that's real talk. I've been really heating up and yeah, I'm still hot. I don't never get the feels, but she real hot. I might pull up in the whip and let her peel off. Got a skirt for the money, I don't know about you. We're the Kid Cudi and the man on the moon. I'm still getting bloody, but I'm fighting right through. Give a fuck if y'all love me, gotta bust my moves. I'm still with the 6-1 Nina, but I'm tryna put cash on a Visa. Oh God, I need the ice like a freezer. Hold up, I was in the city and they showed me love, but it started feeling like an